It's the Score North Twin Show. Baseball.
Yes. Welcome into the Score North Twin Show. Got the sports dad with his number one sports dad t-shirt on today.
That's right. The kid's got it for me.
Old Dex tweets is at, I think, his third wedding of the summer here. Some glorious paradise in a tropical location. So he's taking a well-deserved day off from the Twin Show. Just been pumping daily episodes. So the Twins wind up actually winning 4 out of the 7 games against the Guardians and the Royals, which I think we would all take as a win. But because the Guardians decided to sweep the Cubs, they actually lost. Yeah. The Twins win 2 out of 3 against the Royals. They lose a game on the Guardians this week.
And to go to the super micro here, I actually think so. The Royals series is a success. Like, you won a series. They were throwing, once you got past Pablo starting on Monday, and I know that the Twins kicked the crap out of Seth Lugo on Tuesday, but those last 2 pitchers or pitching matchups advantage KC. So 2 or 3 I'll take. And the disappointing thing about Cleveland is not that they split, it's that the Twins took a doubleheader on Friday. So then you're thinking, okay, just win 1 more.
Yeah.
So the very micro is Cleveland a little disappointing because of how it shook out. Kansas City, I got no problem. 2 or 3 is a success.
Yeah, and so you created some distance there with Kansas City.
Yep.
So I bring to you here with the Twins sitting right now. They're in the second wild card spot. They are 3.5 games back from the best record in the American League and passing Cleveland.
Which is Cleveland, yeah.
Everything is scrunched right now. But then they're also 3.5 back of the Orioles, who are tied with Cleveland. And the Yankees, are they also sitting? Are all 3 of those teams tied right now with the best? Let me see here. Yeah, Yankees by a half game over the Orioles, but the Guardians have the best winning percentage.
Okay.
So you're 4.5 back of Guardians for best record. You're 3.5 back of Orioles for best wild card slot. You are 3.5 up from Red Sox on just being in the wild card picture. So everything is scrunched together.
And you would play 3 at Baltimore right now in the wild card. Okay.
Yes. So with all of that, I bring to you a ranking today on the Score North Twin Show. The 10 most important Twins players if they are going to make a serious playoff run.
Okay.
And we'll start with number 10 after I tell you guys that we have 2 amazing things we're giving away on the Score North app right now. Starting with a 75-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV that automatically adjusts color and sharpness for all the bombas being hit at Target Field.
Love it.
Nearly an $1,800 value. It's a 75-inch, gigantic, awesome Roku TV. And you can register to win it right now on the Score North app under Listener Rewards. Also, we're giving away a 4-pack of Renaissance Festival tickets. The Minnesota Renaissance Festival begins this weekend, and it runs through September 29th. A 4-pack of tickets available right now on the Score North app in the Listener Rewards section. So you can check that out as well. Okay. Let's do this here. And this is just my opinion. If you disagree, you can fight me on these.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, there's going to be some snubs here. But this is, again, if the Twins are going to make a legitimate playoff run, maybe a run to the ALCS, these are the 10 most important players that I think either they need to lean on or need to step up in some regard.
All right.
Starting with number 10.
Baseball.
Caleb Thielbar. So hear me out on this for a second, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. The Twins appear to have a major organizational shortage of lefties just in general. So they've used 28 pitchers this season, not counting like Willie Castro came in a couple times, and they've used 2 position players. So 28 non-position player pitchers. They've only used 3 lefties out of those 28 because they just don't really have lefties. No starters for the last few years. They've just not had starter lefties. The Royals, by contrast, have 4 active lefties in their bullpen right now. 2 of them have ERAs under 2.5.
Yep.
So the Twins have been rolling with Steven Okert, who is very good against lefties, but it's not like the old days where you can just come in as a lefty specialist, face a lefty, and get on out of there. You got to face at least 3 batters, and Steven Okert.
Man.
Yep. Dennis Reyes.
Yeah, great.
Great one.
Get an out.
That Steven Okert, his OPS jumps 400 points, lefties compared to righties, which is where the damage is done for him.
Wow.
And Thielbar, kind of similar this year in that there's like a 300-point difference between he's very good against lefties, but it's the righties that just crush him and Steven Okert.
Mm-hmm.
Thielbar used to be far more effective against opposite-handed, right-handed hitters.
Mm-hmm.
So I put him on this list because once you get into the playoffs, you need to get some lefties out, but then you need to stay in the game and face potentially one or two right-handed batters. And I think Thielbar is their best chance to go back to the old days of what he was a couple years ago. So he's going to be really important as a key cog in that bullpen. Has to be better than he's been the first 4 months.
And he has improved of late. He's got his stuff is improved. I mean, I was a little bit surprised in late June that he didn't get DFA'd. Like, he was really struggling. They stuck with him. He's pitched well. I'll tell you why I don't think this is crazy is because the Twins' commitment to him is clear. So yes, if they're going to throw him out, he becomes an incredibly important guy there. So like, is it my first choice that they stuck with him? Perhaps not. But if they're going to, which I think that it's been made crystal clear that they believe that Caleb Thielbar can do the job, yes, this is an incredibly important guy because this is the difference between bridging to when you get into their top end of the bullpen or just absolutely falling apart.
Yes.
So I'm with you on that.
Okay, number 9, and you'll see a little bit of a trend here in that you're going to be leaning on relievers at times during playoff games. So number 9 for me is Jorge Alcala. And my question is this for real, what we've seen? Now, he's had a couple crooked numbers in the last week and a half. He's had a couple where he's given up multiple runs.
Yep.
But overall on the season, this is his 6th year in the big leagues. This is the best season he's put together. It's the most durable he's been since 2021. He has a 2.25 earned run average, 40 strikeouts in 44 innings. This is the guy that we thought we were going to get more of 5 years ago. We've been waiting on this for a while. And in the playoffs, you're going to need 4 to 5 really good relievers. You can't just get by on 2 guys and it's, your starters aren't going to be going 7 innings and then handing it off to 2 guys. You're going to need 4 or 5 really good relievers. So Griffin Jacks, Duran, who are the other ones? We already mentioned Thielbar. Alcala's been, for the most part, that guy. But I think deciding if he's for real down the stretch here, is he going to continue to be your third best reliever is the biggest question.
So this is an interesting one to bring up after Caleb, because in some ways I thought that the Twins' faith in Caleb should have gone away in late June, early July. Alcala is a guy whose stuff has been why don't you give him more of a chance? And until this year and recently, they haven't. The belief in Caleb has been there beyond a point, in my opinion, of reason. The belief in Alcala has not been there at times where you're okay, he's got really good stuff. So I think that they're confident now, but that's one where they would have to use him in a playoff game, for instance, at Yankee Stadium. I'd be curious to see if they would put their total faith there, because there have been times where it seems like the faith in Alcala has gone away, despite the fact that he has the stuff.
Yeah. Okay, number 8. You might think that this guy is a little low because he could actually wind up being your number 1 starter in a postseason series. I'm putting Bailey Ober as my 8th most important. And I'm putting him a little lower here because I think we know who he is. He's just a good, consistent 6-7 innings. He's going to induce weak contact.
Yep.
The biggest question is going to be, how does he operate as the innings load ticks up in September and October, durability-wise? But he is very reliably starting either game 1 or game 2 in a playoff series right now. So Bailey Ober, number 8.
So Dex and I both agreed that if we were Rocco and Falvey, we would start him game 1 right now because it's justified. I told Declan I still think Pablo starts. In their mind, I think Pablo gets game 1. Bailey get game 2.
I agree with that.
And unless Pablo completely falls apart now, and he's been up and down, but he's had a handful of really nice starts of late. I think it's Pablo and Bailey. I don't think Bailey's going to sway them to bumping Pablo back a start.
There's also just, I don't know if it depends on how much pressure Bailey Ober feels when, there's 40,000 screaming fans, you're on the road, is your pulse fluttering a little bit more? Pablo Lopez has been in those situations. Right. Bailey Ober has not. So is there a little bit of you're protecting Bailey Ober instead of running him out there for game 1, take the pressure off a little bit, put him in a game 2. Now, if they lose game 1, now the pressure's on him. You got to perform well or the series is over.
like you just said, would go Pablo, Bailey, a little bit of a question mark.
Yeah. So he's number 8. Okay. Number 7, most important players for a Twins playoff run. Matt Wallner. So this is going to potentially blow your mind. If you take every hitter in baseball that's had at least 120 plate appearances so far this year, here they are ranked by OPS. Number 1, Aaron Judge. Number 2, Juan Soto. Number 3, Matt Wallner. Number 4, Bobby Witt Jr. Number 5, Shohei Ohtani. Number 6, by the way, Royce Lewis.
Oh, I buy that.
But, I mean, these are literally like the greatest hitters of our generation right now. Hall of Famers.
Since Matt came back.
And Matt Wallner.
He's been fantastic. He came out of spring training, and on this show, we basically said he needs a correction. Yeah. And he got the correction, spent a lengthy stint with the Saints, and he has been great. And the thing I really like about the kid is he can play the outfield. He can run. Like, he looks like a big oaf. He ain't a big oaf.
He's a little more athletic. Yeah.
And that play that he made to save the leadoff against Kansas City, and he made that great catch on the first ball hit off of Zebby, was a fantastic play. But at the plate, he has absolutely crushed.
I mean, again, this list, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Matt Wallner, Bobby Witt Jr., Shohei Ohtani, and then Royce Lewis.
Yep.
And the Twins, if you look at their 25-year history in the 2000s of their playoff failures, and they did put an end to the streak last year, but if you look at the body of work and sort of why they haven't been great in the playoffs, they don't score runs. It's more about the lineup falling apart the last 25 years, not that they haven't had some pitching blowups, but dude, they went like 20 years without scoring 5 runs in a playoff game.
Yes.
And so you're gonna need this lineup, Matt Wallner being a really key important piece to put up big numbers. So you're not relying on, maybe Lopez isn't going to give you 7 brilliant innings, but if he can give you 6 innings and 3 runs, and you go score 6 runs, and now you've got a comfort cushion.
Exactly.
Got to score some runs. Okay, number 6, Yohan Duran.
Okay.
So he has not been the same dominant pitcher as the previous 2 seasons this year. His K rate has plummeted from his first 2 years. I think right now you'd probably put Griffin Jacks as the most trustworthy reliever that you have in your stable. So I'm putting Duran on this list because I think if the Twins are going to make a deep playoff run, he really has to be the lights-out dominant reliever that he was last year and 2 years ago. Because if you're really only going in with Griffin Jacks as your flamethrower and that's it, I don't know how many playoff series you're going to realistically win. So he's number 6 for me.
Yeah, that's fair. I was going to say I might put him slightly higher than that, but with how things have gone. And he has not been the same. And I don't know, he started off the first month or so of the season on the injured list, and he came back, and it didn't really, he's not been bad. I'm not trying to say he's been bad, but he has not been the same lights out pitcher. I think that's fair. And look, I mean, you're sort of constructing the point, but there are, going into a playoff series, I think my 2 biggest questions personally are, can you score runs, which this team has? Can you score runs, and the bullpen? Like you're sort of highlighting, there's, especially like with Caleb, there's a lot of hope there. Can he keep it up now, right? Can he not go back? So, the bullpen is definitely, I'm not saying it's a mess, but it is, I don't know that if you have 100% confidence going into a playoff series, and Duran has to be really good, and you might bring Duran in the 8th and Jax in the 9th. Like, we don't know on that.
Yeah. And by the way, spoiler alert, I do not have Jax in my 10. Not that he's not super important, but he's just, you kind of know what he is. He's been a rock solid piece to this bullpen. He'd probably be 11th on my list. I put a couple of these other guys higher up, not because they're better than he is, but because the word important. I need Caleb Thielbar.
Right. If he blows up,
need Alcala. Yep.
I got you.
100%. Okay, number 5 is a tie between 2 guys.
Wow.
Simeon Woods Richardson and Zebby Matthews. Because somebody has to be this team's number 3 starter in a playoff series behind Bailey Ober and Pablo Lopez. Now, Simeon Woods Richardson is a former top 70 Baseball America prospect that's now fulfilling his potential really for the first time. And Zebby Matthews is a lightning bolt through the Twins organization that was literally pitching in A-ball, high A Cedar Rapids 3 months ago. Mm-hmm. I think right now, all due respect to David Festa and Louis Varland, I think it's a race between Simeon Woods Richardson and Zebby Matthews, who starts a potential Game 3 in a wild card series right now.
I'll tell you this. Right now, it's Sim. Like,
yep,
he's had some rocky times, but he also, I think, has. If you had shown me in April the statistics that Sim has so far to date, I'd say, okay, I didn't expect that. That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. That being said, I might be the most excited Twins-wise for the rest of the regular season for the Zebby experience.
The Zebmeister.
I am really curious. I like what I saw against the Royals. I saw a very flatlined guy that throws strikes and has enough velocity to get outs, which was my question. My question was, can you make a big league start and basically not walk guys and get outs?
Yeah.
And Kansas City's not a they're a good team. So like I didn't watch him and say, well, yeah, but he's going against, the White Sox.
He doesn't nibble. He's pitched 115-ish innings across the 4 different levels. He's walked 7 batters. He's walked 7 batters in 4 months of starting pitching this year.
But you could get here then and just get hammered, right? Because you're throwing strikes and it's like bang. And I didn't see that. So I am the Zebby experience for the rest of the regular season has me really enthralled.
He throws harder and probably has better strikeout stuff than these guys, but he reminds me a little bit of like the peak version of Scott Baker or the peak, and people hear that name, but dude, peak Scott Baker was a damn good pitcher.
Scott Baker was good.
Or peak Phil Hughes before the thoracic outlet stuff where you're just pumping the zone.
You take Scott Baker.
That high fastball. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Scott Baker was throwing 91, 92, and Zebby's throwing, what was he, 96? 95, 96 there?
Right.
So, okay, we got our top 4 most important Twins here. Presented by Padres. We had a fun night last night. It was a Purple Daily Unplugged at Padres in Minneapolis last night. They're celebrating, I believe, 1 year later on this month, Judd. So
yeah, and so we did I believe we ended up calling it Purple Daily Unplugged. About 60, 70 people at Padres. They've got a great spot in the old Lando Nod factory at the corner of Broadway and Central Avenues Northeast. But just as importantly, or more so, they are now the official beer of Sports Dad. They have a Irish Red that's fantastic. They have a lager that is a great session beer. So if you like to have a couple, it's absolutely great. This beer is available now in more than 80 liquor stores in the metro. I get mine at the Byerly's Lunds. By the way, that number is increasing. It is, again, the official beer of Sports Dad now. Padres, absolutely fantastic. And if you picked one up, and Phil, we saw him going out the door left and right last night. Certainly show us your Padres cans.
We got Heggy's Pizza there too, by the way.
Oh, Heggy's Pizza is so good. At Score North on Twitter, at Jay Zolgad. We appreciate their support, and I appreciate having a great beer to drink.
Amen.
Baseball.
Okay. The top 4 most important Twins, if they are going to make a playoff run. Mm-hmm. Number 4, Pablo Lopez. Mm-hmm. So, all due respect to Bailey Ober, who's a little lower on this list. Pablo is supposed to be the one that's the true ace of this staff. He's supposed to be the one, and he was last year right there. They kind of had 2 aces. Sonny Gray actually was top 3, and was he second in Cy Young voting?
Yep.
I think in a perfect world, Lopez would figure it out here in the last couple months of the season, and the peripherals are still pretty much in line. He's been giving up way more home runs than last year. So last year he gave up 24 home runs all year. He's given up 22 already this year in 60 fewer innings. So it's like those untimely home runs are the thing that's biting him. The strikeout rate is in line. The walk rate's in line. Some of the other stuff. But if he can get back and slot above Bailey Ober, you feel a lot better about the first two guys throwing out against the Orioles or the Yankees or whoever it is.
Off the top of my head, I want to say like 4 of his past 5 starts have been pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like he's coming back to but this comes back to your point. If Pablo starts, you still have to score runs. Like you don't throw him out there like, okay, he's going to give up 1 run, right? Like you still have to score runs. I'd say a year ago on the list that you're doing right now, I'd say he might have been like off the list because he wouldn't be a question mark, but there definitely is a question mark. And I honestly think that Baldelli and Falvey would earmark him though, almost no matter what, game 1. Because he's got to set it. You've got to set a tone. And I don't know that as good as Bailey's been, and despite the fact that I'd probably start him, I don't know that you're going to feel like you set the same tone with him as you do with Pablo, if that makes sense.
And to your point about just look at his last handful of starts, I'll give you the last 9 starts going back to like the middle of June. So kind of a 2-month sample size here. 9 starts. The Twins are 6-3 in those games. Like just the team wins and losses. Pablo has a 3.27 earned run average and a 3.05 FIP, which is kind of your expected ERA.
Yep.
And hitters have just a 594 OPS against him. The 62 strikeouts to just 11 walks and 55 innings. So the last 9 starts are much more in line with ace Pablo Lopez.
Absolutely.
All right, so he's number 4. Okay, number 3, Carlos Correa. And Doogie gave us an update. If you go back and listen to the Scoop podcast, Score North Twin Show, Mackey and Judd podcast feed, that it's been a month now. They're still trying to figure out like what the best shoe is for him. He's a Nike guy, and he's had some issues, obviously, the last 2 years. He is their best overall player when you factor in shortstop defense and his bat when it's at its peak. And everything kind of just falls into place when he's your starting shortstop and he's your field general out there. He's in the middle of your lineup. You know, he's been great when healthy this year, but it sounds like, according to Doogie's reporting, he's not going to be 100% the rest of the year. It's how much. When do they just say, all right, dude, get back, and him, like, when do you get back out there and just deal with some uncomfortableness, some discomfort?
They have gotten by without him. They have played well at a lot of times without him. I don't think they have a chance in hell in the playoffs without him.
Yeah, it's tough.
I mean, that guy is first of all, he's a dominant shortstop. He makes plays. Like, Castro is not a disaster, but watch Castro and watch Correa and appreciate the plays that we assume should get made when Correa makes them.
Yeah.
So, incredibly important.
Yeah, smooth man. So, number 3. Okay, and you're a little surprised you thought he'd be higher, but
I'd be higher.
You can fight me on these 2 guys. The second most important Twin, if they are going to make a playoff run, Royce Lewis. No hitter in baseball hits home runs at a more frequent rate per plate appearance than Royce Lewis does in his career so far. Mm-hmm. He's a series-changing type of hitter. He's got the clutch gene, like you just mentioned.
Yep.
How about this, by the way? 28% of Royce Lewis's fly balls go over the fence for a home run. 28%. Aaron Judge is like 31% playing in that bandbox Yankee Stadium.
Yep.
That's insane. So if he's really like a 900 plus OPS, 900 to 1,000 OPS hitter, he can carry you through a month of playoff games if he's healthy and if he's hitting at his peak.
He is also. And in the playoffs especially, you'll love this. He is a swaggermeister. That dude is a swaggermeister. He screams, "I got this, boys."
Thump the chest. Yeah.
Like he's a really nice guy. And so I think you ignore that at times, but you can see, especially the more he talks now, there is a confidence, and this is absolutely like awesome. There is a confidence there. Like, I don't do slumps. That's a swaggermeister.
It's great. Is there a T-shirt? We should make a T-shirt. I don't do slumps.
Made the word up. Yeah. Oh, I just swaggermeister. I just made that up. But yeah, like, I don't do slumps. That's not like oh, that's funny. That's oh no, I don't do slumps.
Yeah, that's great, man. So I mean, if you're getting this version of Royce Lewis, you're getting like a Hall of Fame caliber hitter. In fact, we just listed off again the OPS leaderboard in Major League Baseball. He is in that category.
And that is, and 2 and 3 are basically, so the left side of your infield is 2 all-stars.
Yep. And that brings us to number 1.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the most important player for the
Ryan
Twins to
Jeffers?
make a deep playoff run. Yes, Kyle Farmer.
I love it.
Number 1. Kyle Farmer.
I know where you're going.
He's Byron Buxton. Here's the crazy thing, man. He's only had 7 career postseason plate appearances.
Yeah.
10 years in the major leagues. 7 career postseason plate appearances.
Yep.
Not that unlike Joe Mauer. I think Joe Mauer only came to bat like 12 times maybe in his postseason career because he was unavailable in 2003.
Yeah.
They got swept out a bunch. He was unavailable.
Well, I can go
another
through.
one of those years.
Byron last year, right? Came in against the Astros, pinch hit, like popped up foul.
But that was like they were trying to recreate like a Kirk Gibson moment there. It just
2 years ago, though, he pinch ran, right? Got picked off, I believe. Like he just hasn't played. You're right. Like it's hard to believe until you go back mentally and do the checklist of, okay, when have I seen Byron Buxton playing? Did he play in the? I want to say he did play. In fact, he crashed into the fence at Yankee Stadium in the 1-game wild card. Correct.
He did play in. So 17 he played in the 1-game wild card.
Yep.
19 unavailable. Last year unavailable until the 1 pinch hit appearance.
Yep.
2022 they didn't go to the playoffs in part because he was unavailable for the playoff stretch, August and September.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
By the way, not to disrespect Joe. Joe Mauer played in 10 playoff games, came to bat 44 times. So he had 44 postseason plate appearances. Buxton, in his career, so he's only played in 4 playoff games, only 7 playoff plate appearances for him.
Yep.
Which is, and that Houston series in 2020.
He pinch ran and was clearly concussed still.
He only played in like 1 game. Yeah.
Yeah, he pinch ran, I believe, and got picked off. And he was still clearly concussed. Like he had, you could tell he had no business trying to play. He just tried to play.
Yep. And,
So,
and
yeah,
Doog-
that's right.
Doogie reporting also that he got a cortisone shot in his hip.
I'm
So
worried
he may
about
have to
this.
go on the injured list. But, he's 3 games away from the second most games he's ever played in his career. That would be 93 if he can get there. Second best offensive season in terms of OPS plus of his career. And he's pacing, if he can play the majority of the rest of the season, pacing for the highest wins above replacement of his career. Just total game changer when he's in the lineup.
I know. And he had played, I think he's up to around 90 games now?
90 exactly.
Yeah. And so here's what concerns me. We don't know why. So, like, is the pain in the hip from crashing in the wall a couple of weeks ago at Target Field, or is it a residual effect from the old song? The hip bone's connected to the leg bone. The leg bone's connected to the knee bone. Like, that's my worry is it's knee problems. Like, once you have problems, they just, as a 54-year-old guy, I can tell you, they start to spread around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're right.
Hopefully you get that cortisone shot. It's a good time to get it. Feel your best going into September.
Are you
and
more confident
cross your
Correa
fingers.
coming back to play or Buxton?
Buxton.
Okay.
Well, wait. I think both are going to come back to play. Am
But
I
I mean,
more
like-
confident that Buxton is more productive and feels healthier? I think this Correa thing is just like last year. He's got the same injury.
I agree. I
So
want to know more about the shoe thing. Like, can they not find the right shoe through Nike? Can somebody else make the right shoe, but he's a Nike guy?
what if
Like
another brand? He can't wear
He
another
was-
brand though.
Well, so he talked between games of the doubleheader last Friday against the Guardians, and was sort of snippy or short when asked about the shoes. He's like, "We're trying to find the right shoes," and somebody said, "Well, how about what about this or that?" And he was sort of like, "Just shut it down." So
yeah, that's
like,
if
if
Adidas
Adidas comes in and is like, "Our shoe is perfect for what you have," can he cover up the logo, but he can't wear it at all?
could he cover up the logo and draw a janky Nike check on it or something? I don't know.
I just hope to God that the shoe has not, like, the brand has nothing to do with the. I mean, you'd think
It's a
Nike
weird conundrum.
could make a shoe. Like, they make a lot of different shoes, I know.
I would
So-
think they can do something custom. My God, it's Nike.
Right. Well,
We
just
can't- we've
send them
had
out to the plant.
Well,
in
they've had
Oregon.
athletes with foot problems before. Like we can't
Absolutely.
find I don't know. So those are in my opinion, the 10 most important Twins if they are going to make a playoff run. Buxton number 1, Royce Lewis number 2, Carlos Correa 3, Pablo Lopez number 4, Simeon Woods Richardson, Zebby Matthews in a tie fighting for that third rotation spot. Yohan Duran, Matt Wallner, Bailey Ober, Jorge Alcala, and Caleb Thielbar.
Carlos Santana and Max Kepler are pissed, but that's okay.
Yeah, again, there's all sorts of important players here. Ryan Jeffers might feel snubbed here.
Griffin
Vasquez Jack should feel snubbed.
Well, wait, I thought you didn't put Jax on, though, because you just trust him so much.
Yeah.
So, like, you're not sliding. Right, like if Pablo was pitching just great all year long, my interpretation of your list is he might not make it because you know exactly what he's going to do, probably.
I still think because he's your ace, I think I'd still put him on the list, but he might be lower.
I'm trying to buy you time. Players are very upset right now.
Oh. Well, the list is partially a motivational list.
Austin
it's like,
Martin's
hey,
also,
we need
Austin
something
Martin.
here.
I love Austin Martin.
I almost put him on here because putting the ball in play is very important in these playoff games. You don't want to just give away 15.
You don't want to strike out constantly? I didn't know that. Which
they've done. So, all right, that's the Score North Twin Show here.
Baseball.
If you haven't already, click the subscribe button on the new Score North Twin Show YouTube channel. And thank you to those of you who've given us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple and Spotify. And hopefully Joe Ryan's second opinion.
What about this one?
In California
Royce
goes
Lewis,
well.
little swagger. Swaggermeister.